Quadratic trinomial. What do those words mean? What does quadratic mean? Nope. To the second power, so the degree is 2. And what does trinomial mean? The terms are 3. Perfect. So that's what this is off to the side here. This is an example of like a standard form quadratic trinomial. We have x squared plus bx plus c, where b and c are just going to be some numbers, but you can see the highest power there is 2. That's quadratic, and there's 3 terms. That's a trinomial. Everybody good with that? Okay. So we're going to reference these 2 problems up here, and we're also going to talk about these guys here. We're going to analyze these examples to figure out patterns for what we're about to do. So if I take a look at this first problem here, I have x squared plus 9x plus 18. That's what I'm going to start with. My final answer is x plus 6 times x plus 3. So I want to take a look at these 3 parts here and figure out, well, how did I get from one step to the other? If I take a look up here, what did I multiply together to get this x squared? X times x. So this x squared right here is coming from this x times this x. Okay, think about this right here. Where did this 36 come from? What 2 numbers did I multiply together? I'm looking at example A, chest. 12 and 3. So right here, 18, that separates into 6 and 3. Okay, we see where those numbers are coming from? How did we get this 15 right here? Where did 15 come from? Jaden?
The 12x and the 3x.
Yeah. What did we do to those? Multiply them?
You added them.
We added them. So we add, if I take a look here, 9 is the same thing as 6 plus 3. That's where that middle term comes from. The same thing is happening here in this second equation. This x squared breaks down into these 2 x's. This 20 is breaking down into 10 times 2. And then how did I get this 8 in the middle? I added 10 minus 2. So that's where those parts are coming from, right? I'm doing multiplication and some addition. Okay? So let's just write that down. We can say, what can I say? The first terms multiply to the first term. So that's like the x's in the front. They multiply to that very first term in my trinomial. The last terms multiply to the last term. And the last terms add to the middle term. Kind of confusing. We're going to go over a lot of these examples, so don't worry. I'm not going to leave you in the dark here. But that's just a pattern that we're picking up here. So let's talk about steps for factoring. I'm going to try not to get rid of all of this. We always try to factor quadratic expressions into 2 binomials. Those binomials look like these guys right here. It's a set of parentheses with 2 terms in it times another set of parentheses with 2 terms in it. I use the term bubbles a lot just because I think bubbles is cute. So those are your 2 bubbles, and we're going to put things inside the 2 bubbles. This factoring is done by the method guess and check. We have 2 steps. We're not quite going to get there today, but the first thing that you should always do when you start a factoring problem is to look for a GCF. If you recall what we were doing on Friday, we took out the GCF, and then in the parentheses, we had the leftovers. Now, if those leftovers are a quadratic trinomial, which means they look like one of these, then we can go to step 2, guess and check, to get something that looks more like this. So if the remaining expression is quadratic, we might have a GCF in the front. Not always. We're not going to have one today. And then you'll have 2 bubbles multiplied together. That is our factored leftovers. So 2 steps. You take out a GCF, you factor what's left over. We'll get there eventually. Any questions right now? You ready for this? We're going to all lock in real good. Let's look at example 1A. Starting you off nice and easy, a little bit of a softball here. What we start out with every single time is our 2 bubbles. Bubble, bubble. I'm going to tell you right now today, we don't have any GCFs. We don't have to worry about them until tomorrow. The first thing that goes into the bubbles is factors of this first term. What multiplies together to get x squared? There's only one set of things that can multiply together to get x squared. Read. X and x. That's the only way we can multiply 2 things to get x squared. So let's put x and x in my bubbles first. Then I look at the last term, which is 7. What are the things that multiply together to get 7? 7 and 1. That's going to go in my second spot in my bubbles. Oops. 1 and 7. And now I'm almost done. These 2 terms are going to get separated by a plus or a minus sign. So now we got to figure out how am I going to add up to that middle number, which is an 8. And to do this, we're going to do something called the double bridge method. Small bridge, big bridge. I'll do a small bridge in between the 2 middle numbers. 1 times x gets me 1x. And then x times 7 gets me 7x. Can I add 1x and 7x together to get that middle number 8x? Yeah. What would the signs of 1 and 7 be if I want to get to a positive 8x? Both positive. So I'm going to put a plus here and a plus here, which means I want this to be positive and this to be positive. Everybody with me so far? Now this is your answer. These bubbles, that's your answer. But we are going to check and make sure, because everything we're doing requires us to check. So I'm going to add together these 2 numbers. Hopefully they get us 8x. I'm going to multiply my first terms together to get x squared. And I'm going to multiply my last terms together to get 7. And my checking step right here should match my original, which it does. Any questions on that? Make it a little bit harder. Look at B. Same thing. I'm going to start with my bubbles. The first thing that goes in my bubbles are factors of x squared, which we know there's only one. X squared is x times x. And then I'm going to look for factors of 18. Can somebody give me some factors of 18? And? Okay, what else? Okay, what else? Did I miss any? I think we're good. Okay, so now I have multiple options. I am still looking for which pair of those factors of 18 is going to add up to a 3. Are 2 and 9, whether I add them or subtract them, ever going to make 3? Are 1 and 18, whether I add or subtract them, are they ever going to make 3? What about 6 and 3? Okay, so that's the one I'm going to pick. I'm going to do big bridge, little bridge. Little bridge is 6x. Big bridge is 3x. I want this to add up to a negative 3. So what should the signs of those 2 numbers be if I want them to add to a negative 3? I want a negative 3. I want to subtract 6 and add 3. Okay, right? Negative 6 plus 3 should be a negative 3. So I want to make this 6 a negative, and I want to make this 3 a positive. This should be my final answer. Let's double check and make sure they match, because they don't always match. That gets me negative 3x. X times x is x squared. Negative 6 times 3 is negative 18. Yes, you should be checking every single time. Does this match that? We're good to go. Here is your answer. Please don't box in the wrong thing. Your answer is whatever's in your bubbles. Deep breath. Everybody good right now? I'm going to keep going until we're good here. We're not good. We're not good. Okay, what goes first in these bubbles? X and X. Only one option right now. Factors of this last term, 48. There's a lot of them. Can somebody give me some of them? Read. What else? You got one? There's always one obvious one. It's 1 times the number. I'm missing one more. Oh, man, I stumped you. 3 and 16. Okay, so now I'm looking for 8. What pair am I going to pick to add up to 8? Are 6 and 8 ever going to add or subtract to be 8? 2 and 24 ever going to add and subtract to be 8? What do we think? What do we want to pick? 4 and 12. So let's multiply little bridge, big bridge. I'm trying to add up to a positive 8. So how am I going to get there? What are my signs going to look like? Read. Beautiful. We're going to check. This is an 8x. We're going to check our x's, x squared. We're going to check our last terms. Does this match this? We're checking all the signs and make sure the signs line up correctly. And I think that works, so we're good to go. Good? I'm going to do 2 more, and then I promise I'll leave you alone. Letter D. We're going to start with our bubbles. What goes first in those bubbles? Factors of this last number 10. And one more. Okay. What do we want to pick? We're trying to add to a 7. 2 and 5. We're going to do little bridge, big bridge. What are the signs going to be here? Both negative. I need a negative 7, so they both need to be negative. Negative 2, negative 5. So I'm going to check. That makes negative 7x. This makes x squared. This makes positive 10. Does that match? All the signs line up. That looks good to me. Here's my answer. Questions on this? Okay, one more. Go all the way down to this very last problem here. X squared plus 9x plus 36. First in the bubbles, x and x. Last, factors of 36. Give me some. One more. There we go. Okay. I'm trying to add up to a 9. What are we picking? We're going to do little bridge, big bridge. I'm trying to get to a positive 9. So what are my signs going to look like on this one? Chaz. Let's check. 9x, x squared, and then negative 36. Anybody see anything wrong with this?
Positive 36.
Should be a positive 36. And when I checked, I got a negative 36. Uh-oh. Okay, so let's double check. Are any of these other options going to get me a 9 when I add them together? I don't think so. Is there any way? Well, I have a positive number here. What are the two ways that I can multiply two numbers together and get a positive? Insert. Read. A negative and a negative, or a positive and a positive. So no matter which way I do these 3 and this 12, am I ever going to get a positive 36? Nope, because I need one to be positive, one to be negative. So that doesn't work. Any other options in here? Okay, so this is a super rare case. And I don't think this shows up on today's homework, but it is possible that we have something that is not factorable. That is why it is so important that you actually go and do this step and don't just copy it from whatever's at the top, because you might find that your signs don't match in the end. Okay, you gotta go and check every single time. Any questions on this?